My House of Horrors Chapter 531 to 540. What is he doing? I have no idea. Fan Date and Fan Kong did not dare disturb Chen Ge. They could sense that Chen Ge had entered some kind of state. In reality, Chen Ge did not have the time to talk to the two brothers. He was focused on controlling Xiao Biyu to run down the dark street. The creator of this game was a complete madman. There were many traps hidden in the dark. The arm that suddenly reached out from the window, the murderer that he ran into at the corner, the female ghost that chased after him, and the laughing wild dog that came out of nowhere. If that was all, Chen Ge would not have been so worried, but there was something else that worried him. After running down the dark street for about half a minute, Chen Ge saw something stand up behind Xiao Biyu. It looked like her own shadow. What has run into her shadow? Or can the small town at night awaken a living person's shadow? Chen Ge was in a highly nervous state. He did not dare lose his focus, but the encounter that night at Eastern Zhejiang's freshwater plant kept flashing through his mind. All the ghosts in Eastern Zhejiang appeared to be related to that shadow. On the screen, Xiao Bu's shadow stood up. It leaned on Xiao Bu's shoulder to say something, and Xiao Bu's speed started to slow down. Fan Kong, how far are we from the motel? Chen Ge did not even turn his head around, and he spoke very quickly. It's just up ahead, the only building that is open at the end of the street. Since it dares to open its doors so late at night, this motel is not normal. Chen Ge could already see the old building. He controlled Xiao Biyu to dodge left and right, and the sound of the mouse and keyboard echoed inside Fan Kong's room. At the 57th second after leaving the building, Chen Ge controlled Xiao Biyu to run into the motel. The red specter holding the head stopped outside the motel and did not follow Xiao Biyu in. The female ghost doesn't dare come in. When Chen Ge saw that the female ghost had stopped chasing, he immediately told Xiao Biyu to stop as well. He stood at the entrance of the hotel and moved left and right, trying to seduce the female ghost. Mr. Chen, what are you doing? Provoking her. Fan Kong couldn't stand it anymore. If I don't get her into the hotel, will you deal with the hotel owner? Xiao Biyu is just a child without the strength to truss a chicken. How can he fight against those psychopathic murderers? Quote. Xiao Biyu stood at the door and ran left and right. The female ghost in red was eager to try. The head in her hands looked conflicted, like she was in a fierce struggle. As a red specter, he's afraid of the slightest thing. The ghosts in Eastern Zhejiang are not that good after all. Chen Ge had been arguing for a long time, and the red specter seemed to have been annoyed by him. He prepared to return to the hotel. However, before she could enter, a fat man holding a shotgun suddenly ran out from the room next door and closed the hotel door. At the same time, a sentence popped up on the screen. There is a knocking sound coming from the hotel's wooden door. It is unclear when the guests will come in. Using the mouse to click on the dialog box, the second sentence popped up. This sentence had the picture of the fat man, so it should be him speaking. Every night, there will be strange guests who come to visit. They are very dangerous. Now, father only has one bullet left in his shotgun, so we have to be careful. This is the crazy boss that you mentioned. He looks quite kind. Chen Ge pointed at the screen. After entering the hotel, Xiao Bu's shadow had returned to normal. Based on Chen Ge's own speculation, this should be some kind of game mechanism added by the game designer. After dark, one could not stay on the street for more than 1 minute, or else one would be killed by their own shadow. Don't be fooled by his appearance. This madman has killed all the guests at the hotel. No one leaves his hotel after entering. Fan Kong's voice was shaking. The hotel owner had become a shadow in his heart. Tell me, when did the hotel owner go berserk? Let me be mentally prepared in advance. Quote. I did not get a room card. When I entered the hotel, the boss was kind enough to give me a room. Fan Kong started to cry about his experience. I stayed inside the room obediently, thinking that I would be fine after the sun came up. But a few minutes later, the door opened a gap, and I saw the boss standing at the door with a cleaver in his hand. The craziest thing was that he stood at the door, not moving at all, with a smile on his face. Then, if you ignored him, the door would open wider and wider. Finally, he would rush in and chase after people to cut them down. Quote. Is it that scary? Chen Ge clicked on the screen. The hotel owner asked him if he had the room card. Chen Ge clicked on his backpack and took out the raincoat man's room card for the boss to take a look. When the boss saw Chen Ge's room card, he told Chen Ge that the kitchen would prepare supper at midnight, and he hoped that all the tenants would be there. Preparing supper at midnight. Could the ingredients be the tenants? Chen Ge turned to look at Fan Kong. Have you experienced this before? Quote. I do not have the room card, and our scenario is completely different. I have only seen the tenants in the other rooms. Of course, when I saw them, they were already dead. Fan Kong shrugged helplessly. He wanted to help Chen Ge, but he was powerless. You know the information about the other tenants. Chen Ge was surprised. This was a surprise. Tell me everything you know. Perhaps I can unite the other tenants and find a way to survive. Room 1 is occupied by the hotel owner's father. He has a picture of himself and the hotel owner in his room. The man appears to have a spare key to the hotel. Room 2 is occupied by a woman. She wears very revealing clothes, so she should be in that kind of special job. Room 3 is occupied by a student. He has a backpack, and there is a phone inside the backpack. Room 4 is empty. Room 5 is occupied by a man in a police uniform. It is unclear whether he is a con artist or a real police officer. There's a police officer. Chen Ge nodded. Fan Kong had provided him with very important information. With the other tenants, I have a higher chance of surviving the night. He controlled Xiao Biyu to return to his room, but once he entered the room, a gunshot came from the background music, and then a conversation box popped up on screen. You heard the sound of a shotgun going off. A murder is suspected to have happened at the hotel. Please make your choice now. 1. Go find the boss and ask him what happened earlier. 2. Find the police and ask for their help. 3. Ignore them and go to sleep. The mouse moved between the three options. Without much hesitation, Chen Ge prepared to choose the third option. Why are you still sleeping at a time like this? Fan Kong quickly stopped Chen Ge. Don't be rash. I have a feeling that these three options are weird. They might affect the plot later. There's no need to think about it. The gunshot earlier came from a shotgun. The person who fired the shot should be the hotel owner. The first option is a suicide option. Then we can go find the police. What police? Chen Ge chose the third option directly. The hotel owner only has one bullet. In this situation, he will definitely attack the police. He is probably inside the police room now. The boss is inside the police room. Quote. Think about it from the perspective of a murderer. The police officer might have a gun. Only by obtaining the police officer's gun can he continue to kill the other people in the hotel. Therefore, other than the third option, the other two options are both suicide options. Chen Ge controlled Xiao Biyu to open the door to room 4 and ran toward room 1, which was far away from the police. Welcome to Fanfic Audiobook, your go-to place for immersive audiobooks. If you enjoy the content, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel for more amazing stories. From the moment he saw the option to the moment he made his choice, Chen Ge displayed a surprising calmness. When Fan Kong finally understood and started to shudder, Chen Ge had already controlled Xiao Biyu to come to the door of room 1. He used the mouse to click on the door, and a message popped up. Your room card cannot open this door. You lean against the door, and you can hear a sigh coming from inside the room. Based on Fan Kong's description, the hotel owner's father would soon die inside room 1. The old man probably knew that his son was a crazed murderer, and he knew that he did not have much time left. Since room 1 could not be opened, Chen Ge did not stay for long. He hurried to room 2. It was a woman who was wearing revealing clothes, and she seemed to have a special job. He clicked on the door of room 2, and this time, there was no dialog box. The door was not closed, and it opened directly. This woman doesn't even lock her door when she sleeps at night. Entering room 2, Chen Ge saw a woman in her underwear squatting before a large box in the corner of the room. She appeared to be picking out clothes. Mr. Chen, be careful. When I entered room 2 earlier, the box was not there. Fan Kong reminded him, and Chen Ge stopped moving. The guests at this hotel were most likely murderers as well. Chen Ge tried to use the mouse to click on the woman, and a new option popped up. This sexy and beautiful lady is picking out clothes for herself. Do you want to tell her about the murder that just happened? 1. Tell her that it is very dangerous inside the hotel and tell her to be careful. 2. Pick up the lamp on the table and aim it at the back of her head. 3. Ignore her and return to the room to sleep. Single quote. Looking at the three options, Chen Ge fell into deep thought. A kind person will choose the first option, but there is a high chance that something bad will happen if I approach her rashly. I can't trust this woman for now. A person with evil intentions will probably choose the second option, but if I analyze it rationally, with Xiao Bu's strength and the weight of the lamp, no matter which angle he puts his hand down, he won't be able to knock the woman unconscious or kill her. This option is very insincere. It would make sense if he provided a knife. Chen Ge's analysis made Fan Kong break out in a cold sweat. He quietly put the fruit knife on the computer table far away. After a moment of hesitation, Chen Ge chose the third option. When he made his choice, the woman squatting in the corner turned to look at the door. There was no human skin on her face, and she held a small knife in her hand. Half of a slender white arm was exposed from the big box. Is he changing his clothes or changing his face? Chen Ge quickly controlled Xiao Bu to leave the woman's room and helped her close the door. The hotel owner is a murderer, and the tenants are either crazy or crazy. Am I the only normal person in this whole town? Mr. Chen, why don't we leave the hotel? I feel like this place is much more dangerous than the residential area. There is a female ghost outside the door. Where should we go? Chen Ge controlled Xiao Bu to walk to the door of room 3. The high schooler can't be a murderer as well, right? He was worried that the woman from room 2 would run out, so he clicked on the door of room 3. The chat box popped up again. Someone is talking on the phone inside the room. The voice is very soft, but you can hear terms like brother, mother, hidden body, and hidden room. The tenant of this room 3 is very strange. Who is he talking to? Chen Ge stared at the screen and thought to himself. Could it be his father? He mentioned his brother and mother, but not his father. Fan Kong made a bold guess. Mr. Chen, the high schooler from room 3 is probably the only person who can help Xiao Bu. Why do you think that? Chen Ge was surprised. Didn't you say that you need to think from the perspective of the game creator? I've played this game for several weeks and died many times. I've gained a general understanding of the game's worldview. With Chen Ge's guidance, Fan Kong also tried to think from the perspective of the game creator. All adults are either crazy or crazy, and children are mostly victims. Perhaps this is the world in the eyes of the game creator. Adults are fake and scary, and only children can be found with innocence and kindness. Technically, a high schooler is not an adult. He is somewhere between an adult and a child. I think you should try to get to know him. Quote. Fan Kong knew that this game was not just a simple horror game. It had a deeper meaning, but due to his limited knowledge, he could only see so much. You're too naive. Xiao Bu's worldview is one of despair. To understand the game world, you have to understand the main character, Xiao Bu. Chen Ge turned to look at Fan Kong. All the children in this game are named Xiao Bu. All the children who die, are killed, or suffer misfortune are named Xiao Bu. Do you expect such a child to be innocent and kind? Chen Ge turned back to the screen. Actually, the longer Xiao Bu survives in this world of despair, the more I feel that something is not right. You've read the news before. All the tragedies in this game are based on real cases. In other words, most of the scenarios have happened in real life. Then have you considered this question, if there really is a person named Xiao Bu in real life, how did she survive after experiencing these horrible things? Chen Ge spoke so quickly that Fan Kong and Fan Dade could not react. What are you trying to say? The things that I controlled Xiao Bu to do, Xiao Bu might have really done them. Chen Ge had a vague understanding of the core of this game. He wanted to say more, but the screen changed. The door to room 3 opened, and a student in a school uniform stood at the door. Then a chat box popped up. It is very dangerous outside. Tenant 3 is worried about your safety, so he invites you to enter the room. You stand at the door and see Tenant 3 holding a family picture. His mother and father stand together happily, and next to them are two boys who look exactly the same. Chen Ge clicked on the screen again, and the chat box showed a new content. Earlier, when you were outside the door, you overheard the boy talking on the phone about hiding dead bodies. You were afraid and unwilling to enter the room. To persuade you to swear to God, even though he has killed before, he was forced to do so. He is the only good person in this small town that he can trust. Single quote. See, what do you think of my guess? This high schooler should be able to help us a lot. Fan Kong was very happy. He felt like he had helped. A good person would never point at their own nose and say that they are a good person. Chen Ge shook his head and clicked on the screen again. The last sentence popped up. You are curious about Tenant 3. You decide to listen to his story before you make your decision. I have a brother who looks exactly like me, but our personalities are very different. I'm introverted and obedient. I listen to my parents, but my brother is a troublemaker and has a very violent personality. One time, my brother got into a heated argument with my father. They got into a fight, and in the panic, my brother stabbed my father. I was there. I didn't expect something like that to happen. I tried my best to stop my brother, but my brother wanted to kill me as well. In the end, during the fight, I accidentally stabbed my brother. When mother came back, both my brother and father were already dead. A good family was torn apart. Mother knew that I would never lie or kill someone, so she lied during the police's interrogation and pushed all the blame onto my brother. Everyone in this small town is dirty, but I'm the only exception because I didn't want to kill anyone. It was just an accident. The words of Tenant 3 flashed across the screen. After he finished, an option popped up at the bottom of the screen. What will you do next? 1. Enter the room and tell him that the hotel is dangerous and remind him to be careful. 2. Refuse to enter the room and ask him to go to other rooms to scout. 3. Ignore him and go to sleep. Entering the room was leaving his life in the hands of the student. Asking the student to scout the other rooms was sending him to his death. The first and second options represented good and evil. How about we take a gamble? I don't think this student is a bad person. Fan Kong had finished the coke without him realizing it. His eyes moved back and forth between Chen Ge and the computer screen. There's no need to gamble. There's definitely something wrong with this student. Chen Ge was decisive. He moved the cursor to the third option. He killed in self-defense, and look at his expression and actions, he's completely different from those murderers with bloodshot eyes. He has a low self-esteem, so a child like him wouldn't actively harm others. This time, it was Fan Dade who spoke. He shared the same opinion as his brother. Low self-esteem and cowardice mean that there's a flaw in his personality. Most murderers spend their childhood in a state of low self-esteem. They have low self-esteem, but at the same time, they crave for respect, so their personality slowly turns twisted. Chen Ge was too lazy to explain anymore. This student is very dangerous. He is not strong enough, so it's easier for him to target those who are weaker. You mean he's lying? Fan Kong opened another bottle of Coke and took several gulps. It was midnight, but he was not sleepy at all. I'm sure this student is lying. Think about it, if his mother really pushed all the blame on his brother, why would he appear in this small town filled with murderers at midnight? Chen Ge's voice was dark. Now I have two speculations. 1. He killed his big brother and father and then pushed all the blame on his big brother. Then, he used his mother's trust to push all the blame onto his big brother. 2. This student is an impersonation of the big brother. The big brother killed his father and his little brother who tried to stop the fight. To escape the law, he disguised himself as the weak little brother. After Chen Ge said that, Fan Chong and Fan Dade did not dare say another word. They really could not find any reason to argue back, and they felt a chill crawling up their heads. The possibility of the second theory is higher. Chen Ge looked at the screen and chose the third option. Then he controlled Xiao Biyu to leave quickly. His appearance in this small town at midnight means that he has probably killed his mother as well, and the reason for that is very simple. Even if they are twins, no matter how much they disguise themselves, their biological mother might be able to see through them. After familiarizing himself with the hotel, Chen Ge controlled Xiao Biyu to walk toward the hotel's entrance. He planned to let the Red Spectre in. There are no innocent people in this hotel. They should be able to buy me enough time. Chen Ge came to the hotel's entrance and saw a fat man standing in the lobby. The man was wearing a chef's hat, and he was placing pieces of cake on the table. He is the hotel's chef, a madman, but I've never seen him kill anyone before, Fan Kong whispered. Chen Ge nodded. He controlled Xiao Biyu to stay away from the chef, but once she got close to the hotel's entrance, the chef would walk toward her. After wasting several minutes in the lobby, Chen Ge tried to use the mouse to click on the chef, and a chat box popped up. There's the sound of knocking coming from outside the door. It's midnight. It's supper time at the hotel. After the chat box disappeared, the old man, the woman, the student, and the hotel owner walked out from the guest room. There was no sign of the police. The hotel owner and the chef stood together. There were 4 chairs placed next to them, and there were 9 pieces of cake on the table. After everyone arrived, 4 options popped up. Please choose your seat. 1. Sit between the chef and the old man. 2. Sit between the old man and the woman. 3. Sit between the woman and the student. 4. Sit at the outermost edge of the table. Finally, the option to go to sleep was not among the 4 options. Chen Ge looked at it for a long time, but he did not know how to choose. Why do I suddenly have to choose my seat? What's the difference between these 4 seats? Quote. Chen Ge could not figure it out. For safety's sake, he chose option 4 and sat alone at the outermost edge of the table. After he made his choice, the other characters took their seats. When Chen Ge controlled Xiao Biyu to sit on the chair, the chat box popped up. The chef placed the cleaver on the table. He and the hotel owner looked at you with a smile and gave you a difficult question. How are 4 people going to split the 9 pieces of cake with only 1 cut? 4 people splitting the 9 pieces of cake. Put 3 pieces of cake side by side and cut them down the middle. That won't do, he asked for an equal split. Fan Kong and Fan Dade were deep in thought. Neither of them realized Chen Ge, who saw the cleaver on the table, had become completely excited. This should be the hotel owner purposely making things difficult for the tenants. No matter how you cut it, there is no way to split it evenly. Fan Dade was a chef himself. He gestured for a long time but could not come up with a good solution. Yes, even if you can cut it, the cream on the cake will more or less stick to the cleaver. There is no way to split it evenly. The 2 brothers were having a heated discussion when they suddenly saw on the screen, the old man, the woman, the student and the Xiao Biyu controlled by Chen Ge all reach out to grab the cleaver. The distance between the 4 of them to the cleaver was different. The Xiao Biyu controlled by Chen Ge was the furthest away from the cleaver while the old man was the closest to the cleaver that the chef placed down. Not good. Seeing the cleaver being taken away by the old man, Chen Ge controlled Xiao Biyu to run away. Why are you running? Fan Kong and Fan Dade were dumbfounded. Aren't you answering the question? Why are you suddenly so excited? Quote. Chen Ge controlled Xiao Biyu to run away without looking back. On the screen, the old man wielding the cleaver used all his strength to swing the cleaver at the woman next to him. How are 4 people going to split the 9 pieces of cake with 1 cut? Of course, the 4 people will become 3 people. The old man swung the cleaver at the woman's neck. When the cleaver fell, the woman hurriedly evaded, and the cleaver landed on the woman's shoulder. Blood stains appeared on the dining table, and the old man, the woman, and the student fought each other. The old man wanted to kill the woman, but the woman resisted. The student tried to snatch the cleaver away. He probably thought that since the old man could not kill the woman, he had already failed, and it was his turn now. Of the 4 tenants, only Chen Ge controlled Xiao Biyu to stay away from them. Such a bunch of madmen. If only they could sit down and talk. Even if the hotel owner has a gun, the tenants would still have a chance to turn the tables. Such a pity. The chef and the hotel owner watched the 3 tenants fight happily. While they were distracted, Chen Ge circled to the hotel entrance and clicked madly with the mouse. He finally found the chance and let the head-holding ghost in. This hotel is open at night, so there has to be a secret hidden inside. When the head-holding ghost chased Xiao Biyu to the hotel, she hesitated for a long time before she decided to enter. This means that she probably felt threatened. Standing on the dark street, the ghost knocked on the door for a long time, and her heart was filled with anger. When she saw Chen Ge controlling Xiao Bu, she charged into the hotel. I didn't do anything to offend her. Why is she so vengeful? Could it be that her death is related to Xiao Bu's stepfather? But Xiao Bu's stepfather was killed, and she had nowhere to vent her hatred, so she turned to Xiao Bu. Quote. Chen Ge felt like the existence of the head-holding ghost was more like a game mechanism, to prevent the players from staying at one place for too long. They had to stay alert at all times. Moving the mouse, Chen Ge pulled away from the ghost and ran deeper into the hotel. He calculated the distance between himself and the hotel entrance. If the situation changed, he would leave immediately. 3 gunshots came from the background music. The hotel owner seemed to have fired at the ghost. Fight. The more intense the fight, the better. Chen Ge controlled Xiao Bu to hide in the corner. By then, the ghost's head had separated from her body, and she was chasing after the murderers. Mr. Chen, what should we do now? Have you left the hotel? Fan Kong had learned something new that night. After seeing Chen Ge's operation, he realized that the game could be played in such a manner. The originally peaceful hotel was now in chaos. The Xiao Bu controlled by Chen Ge was simply a source of disaster that could move on its own. Earlier, you told me that the old man is the hotel owner's father, and he has the spare key to the hotel. Chen Ge controlled Xiao Bu to stick close to the wall and run toward the guest room. Our plot is different. When I arrived at the hotel, the old man had already been shot. I found the key inside his room drawer. Let's get the key first. Chen Ge controlled Xiao Bu to enter room number 1. This room seemed to belong to the old man. There were many pictures on the wall. Among them were pictures of him and the hotel owner. There were also pictures of him and a woman when he was young. That woman is the old man's wife. Chen Ge used the mouse to click on the drawer, and a dialogue box popped up. You see a rusty key, many teeth, and an old notebook. This old man's hobby is strange. He likes to collect teeth. Chen Ge clicked on the notebook, and the dialogue box showed new content. The 1st of March, my husband has gone mad. He imprisoned me in the secret room behind the kitchen fridge. He only gives me 3 pieces of bread and a glass of water every day. He forbids me from leaving the house and interacting with customers. He has really gone mad. The 2nd of March, what is the chef cooking this time? I smell the fragrance of meat. I'm so hungry. The madman is purposely torturing me. The 1st of April, I haven't had a full meal in a long time. I have to leave this place. Yes, I'll sneak out tonight. 2nd April, I've been discovered. We got into an argument. The madman is so scary when he's angry. He's like a brown bear that's out of control. In the end, he pulled out one of my teeth. 5th May, I'm so hungry. If I stay here, I'll be tortured to death by him. I have to leave. June 6th, who can save me? My husband is a devil. He actually wants to pull out all my teeth, this perverted madman. 1st November, I'm afraid I won't be able to eat meat anymore. I'm so hungry. The content of the notebook was strange. At first glance, it appeared to be a record of the old man's violent acts when he was young, but after reading it several times, Chen Ge realized things were not as simple as they seemed. However, before he could figure it out, a gunshot came from the background music, and then 3 options popped up. You finished reading the diary of the old man's wife and found out the biggest secret of the hostel. Please choose the item that you think is the most important from the following 3 options. 1. You pick up the rusty key and think it might be the spare key to the hostel's front door. 2. You put the teeth into your backpack and think it's a valuable collectible. 3. You shove the notebook into your pocket and think it's hiding an important clue. Looking at the 3 options on the screen, Chen Ge's brows creased slightly. Fan Kong, have you encountered this option before? Yes, when I open the drawer, these 3 options will pop up. At the time, I chose the spare key to the hostel. With the key, I can enter and exit the hostel freely. Even if it's locked, it's fine. Fan Kong wanted to struggle one last time. He felt that this time, he should be able to think the same way as Chen Ge. Looks like the first option can be eliminated. Chen Ge appeared to be talking to himself as the mouse moved between the 2 options. Then I'll choose option 3. The notebook probably has a special use. I've seen many horror movies where the murderer's information is left behind in the notebook. Fan Dade made the choice based on his own life experience. Hearing what Fan Dade said, Chen Ge shook his head and chose the second option. The notes are indeed very important, but haven't we already seen the contents of the notes? Hearing what Fan Dade said, Chen Ge shook his head and chose the second option. Teeth. What is the use of that? Fan Dade and Fan Kong could not understand it, but they did not dare open their mouths, so they whispered to each other. It should be the teeth. Chen Ge's brain turned quickly and he said in a low voice, when the three options popped up, there was a sentence at the bottom of the screen. You have finished reading the diary of the old man's wife and found out the hostel's biggest secret. But what does that prove? Fan Kong still believed the key was the most important. The hostel's biggest secret is the old man's wife. In other words, the reason the hostel became like this is because of the old man's wife. Chen Ge used the mouse to click on the notebook and read the content. The old man's wife should be innocent. Her husband and children are both crazy. She was imprisoned, her teeth were pulled out, and she was tortured. She is just a victim. Fan Dade did not understand Chen Ge's choice. The appearance of any serial killer is related to their living environment. There has to be a reason for the hotel owner and the old man to be so indifferent to human life, and this reason is probably the old man's wife. Chen Ge's eyes darkened. Pay attention to the content of the diary. On March 1st, the wife was imprisoned. She said that her husband had gone mad. She only gave him 3 pieces of bread and 1 glass of water every day. For a normal person, that was barely enough. The old man was probably purposely restricting his wife's appetite. Look at the content after that. The wife's diary is all about eating, and the way the old man tortured her was not by breaking her arms or legs but by pulling out her teeth. This proves that the old man hated the woman who ate. In a normal family, why would the husband hate the woman who ate? Was the wife a glutton? On March 1st, when the wife was imprisoned, the husband forbade his wife from interacting with the customers. Why would he do that? On June 6th, the husband pulled out all of the wife's teeth. What did the wife do to make the husband so angry? What did she eat to make the husband do something so crazy? Quote. Chen Ge's words caused Fan Kong and Fan Dade to feel afraid. Could it be that the wife liked to eat human flesh? She killed a customer on March 1st. Quote. That's possible. Chen Ge pointed at the last entry. On June 6th, all of the wife's teeth were pulled out, and on November 1st, the wife wrote her last entry. She could no longer eat meat anymore. This means that on November 1st, she probably could not endure the days without meat anymore, so she committed suicide. Suicide. Yes, the wife's death was the beginning of the hotel's transformation. There was something that Chen Ge did not say. He speculated that after the wife died, she turned into a baleful ghost, and to fulfill her wish, the old man and the hotel owner started to commit crimes. But what does that have to do with the teeth? Fan Kong still did not get it. You'll find out in a bit. Chen Ge had a lot of experience dealing with ghosts. He knew that most ghosts had an object that they could attach their spirit to. When the wife was alive, she talked about eating meat every day. After she died, even if her real body was not on the teeth, she would have been very concerned about the teeth. These teeth must be useful in the old man's drawer. Chen Ge controlled Xiao Biyu to run out from the room. He headed straight for the kitchen. Since the hotel dares to operate at midnight, it means that they are not afraid of normal ghosts. Their confidence probably comes from the wife who has become a ghost. When Chen Ge controlled Xiao Biyu to enter the kitchen, the old man who was covered in blood stumbled toward guest room 1. The other guests and the chef had been dealt with by the ghost, and now she was chasing after the hotel owner. How terrifying. Chen Ge did not waste any more time. He walked into the kitchen and stood before the fridge. According to the notebook, the old man imprisoned his wife in the secret room behind the fridge. Looking at the fridge, there were 4 advertisements pasted on it. The first one showed a young woman in a chef's hat taking out large pieces of meat from the fridge. The second one showed the woman cutting the meat. The third one showed the woman washing the meat. The last one showed the woman serving the cake that she had made to the guest. It appeared like she was celebrating the guest's birthday. Looks like my speculation is correct. The woman does like to eat human flesh and has killed the guest before. Chen Ge stared at the 4 pictures on the fridge. This is just a very ordinary advertisement, right? Fan Chong wasn't sure either. He was suspicious of everything he saw now. The first 3 pictures show the woman handling the meat, but why is the last one serving the cake to the guest? Chen Ge stumped Fan Kong. Why? Fan Kong had given up on thinking. You'll understand if you look at it in reverse. Chen Ge pointed at the 4th picture. The sequence is reversed. The woman first serves the drugged cake to the guest. After the guest faints, the woman starts to wash the guest. Then she cuts the meat. Finally, in the first picture, the woman's action is not to remove the meat but to place the meat inside the fridge. After Chen Ge finished his explanation, Fan Kong and Fan Dade felt unsettled. Then we'd better stay away from this crazy woman who eats people. Why should we stay away from her? She is the key to solving our problem tonight. Chen Ge used the mouse to click on the fridge. The cupboard door opened. The back of the fridge was hollowed out. Hiding inside was a monster with thin limbs and a bulging stomach. The monster opened its toothless mouth and closed its eyes like it was waiting for someone to feed it. Seeing the monster inside the fridge, Fan Kong and Fan Dade both moved back. They felt extremely uncomfortable. In contrast, Chen Ge moved the mouse to adjust Xiao Bu's position and made eye contact with the monster inside the fridge. After confirming that the monster was wearing a red specter, a satisfied smile appeared on his face. He mumbled something that no one could understand, like only a red specter could deal with a red specter. Toss the tooth into the monster's mouth, and she should be able to wake up. Chen Ge clicked on the backpack, but he did not drop the tooth immediately. He controlled Xiao Biyu to run behind the kitchen door and watched silently as the head-wielding woman chased after the hostel owner. After all the murderers inside the hostel were dealt with by the head-wielding woman, she opened the kitchen door and tossed the tooth into the fridge. After the tooth fell into the monster's toothless mouth, the monster's eyes flew open and turned to look at Xiao Biyu, who was standing at the kitchen door. At the same time, the head-wielding woman who had just started her killing spree noticed Xiao Biyu. The atmosphere was strange. Be it the 2 red specters on the screen or Fan Kong and Fan Dade in real life, everyone in Ghost seemed to have frozen. The female ghost probably didn't expect to run into a female ghost, right? Chen Ge moved his fingers. Before the 2 female ghosts could react, he controlled Xiao Biyu to run to the side. Once he moved, the red specter inside the fridge and the head-wielding woman rushed over at the same time. The head-wielding woman had just dealt with the husband and son of the female ghost inside the fridge. Their bodies were still fresh on the ground. The fridge woman's eyes were red, and she charged at the head-wielding woman. The 2 started to fight. Chen Ge controlled Xiao Biyu to stay away from them. He sneaked to the hostel owner's body and used the mouse to click on the body. Where's the gun? There was no message on the screen. Chen Ge controlled Xiao Biyu to walk to the dining table and pick up the cleaver that was used to cut the cake. If there's no gun, a cleaver will do. Under Chen Ge's control, the cute and innocent Xiao Biyu appeared to have turned completely black. She held the cleaver and stood at the hostel door, patiently watching the fight between the 2 female ghosts. Perhaps due to the fact that she had consumed many souls, the female ghost that ran out from the fridge was obviously stronger than the head-wielding woman. She soon suppressed the head-wielding woman and prepared to consume the latter as well. It's time to leave. Chen Ge was quite satisfied with this result. After the head-wielding woman is consumed, the residential area will become a safe zone. Finally, there will be a place for me to spend the night. Chen Ge controlled Xiao Biyu to run out of the hostel. He very considerately closed the door and then ran back to the residential area. When she returned to her room, the dark sky turned gray, and the sun had risen in the game. Not bad. This game is not as difficult as I thought. Chen Ge stretched lazily. When he turned around, he realized Fan Kong and Fan Dade were sitting far away from him. What's wrong with you 2? It's fine, it's fine. You don't need to worry about us. Fan Kong looked at Chen Ge, and his face twitched. The man before him could no longer be judged simply by strength. First, he had the homicidal maniac kill the homicidal maniac, then he had the homicidal maniac provoke the female ghost next door. While he used the female ghost to kill the homicidal maniac, he lured the female ghost to clean up the entire hostel. Finally, he used the female ghost inside the hostel to deal with the female ghost next door. Not only had he survived the first night, but he had also cleared out a safe zone. What was even more unbelievable was that he had even obtained a kitchen knife from a simple puzzle game. When the sun rose in the game, 3 options popped up on the bottom of the screen. You survived the first night with amazing luck. You were extremely terrified. You were hesitant about whether to stay here to look for your mother or to go back the way you came and leave this town. 1. You feel like a fish in water here. You like the atmosphere of this small town, so you decide to stay and experience it for one more night. 2. You miss your mother, but you feel like you've reached your limit. You need to leave. 3. You're conflicted and in pain. Everything here is different from your impression of the world. You decide to stay here until you find your mother. The mouse moved between the 3 options, and Chen Ge started to think. As a player, he was more inclined toward the first option, but if he had to choose from Xiao Bu's perspective, he would choose the second option. If he left this dark and scary world, perhaps Xiao Bu could grow up healthily. After a long silence, Chen Ge moved the mouse to the third option. The first option is the safest, the second option is the best for Xiao Bu, and the third option might be Xiao Bu's initial choice. He could only leave after he found Xiao Bu's mother, but if Xiao Bu's mother had been killed, then Xiao Bu would never be able to find the person she was looking for, and she would have to stay in this small town forever. His fingers moved, and Chen Ge pressed the mouse. He chose the third option. If I want Xiao Bu to find salvation, then I can't lie to myself and others in this game. After he confirmed his choice, a new save point appeared on the game save page. The original save point was at Xiao Bu's home in the real world, but this new save point was at Xiao Bu's home after the change. With this new save point, I can leave it to Fan Kong to explore all the side cases. Chen Ge controlled Xiao Bu to stand on the top floor of the building. He looked out at the gray sky and the small town shrouded in fog. There are so many stories hidden in this place. It's impossible to solve them all in one go. Chen Ge knew that he could use the crazed murderer to kill the crazed murderer, and he could use the baleful specter to kill the baleful specter, but that was not a long-term solution. I'm curious, if everything is real, how did Xiao Bu survive until the end? Mr. Chen, I don't think you should overthink it. Just follow your own pace. Fan Chong looked at Xiao Bu on the screen, who was holding a cleaver and looking down on the entire city. He truly felt that the style of the game was starting to change. The new save point has appeared, and the pace of the game will slow down. I might not be able to clear it tonight, so I'll have to leave this game to you. Chen Ge narrowed his eyes like he had a plan in his mind. Leave it to me. Fan Kong rubbed his hands. After seeing Chen Ge's control, he was too embarrassed to play the game. It's fine. Just do whatever you want, but you have to remember to record the cause of death and the case you're involved in every time you die. Try to explore all the places on this map in the next few days. Explore all of them. Fan Kong's lips moved, and he whispered, then how many times do I have to die? Isn't that too cruel? Try your best. Chen Ge moved his fingers, and his eyes glowed. He was no longer satisfied with exploring the town in the game. He planned to bring all his employees and find this town in real life. The game reflected real life. With the knowledge of all the dangers, Chen Ge decided to take the initiative and take over this town. It's dangerous at night, so you should have Xiao Bu stay at home. It's safer in the day, so we'll mainly explore during the day. Chen Ge controlled Xiao Bu to run out of the residential area. The town looked quiet in the day, and the blood stains on the ground had all been cleaned up. One could not tell that a life and death chase had taken place on this street the previous night. Xiao Bu found the key to the dungeon inside her mother's pajamas. After entering the dungeon, one will arrive at a small town that is completely different from the real world. The strange thing is, after Xiao Bu dies in the town, the game will load in Xiao Bu's own room. She lies in her own bed like everything is just a dream. Chen Ge thought about it for a long time and came up with a possibility. The game is very similar to Li Wan City. Before Dr. Gao died, he said that the door in the Society of Strange Tales is located in Liwan City. Combined with the content in the game, can I assume that Xiao Biyu pushed open the door in her friend's dungeon? She has entered the world behind the door, and she is the door pusher herself. Quote. Controlling Xiao Biyu to wander aimlessly down the street, Chen Ge's brain turned quickly. Assuming that Xiao Biyu is the door pusher, what did she see in her friend's dungeon? Why did she push open the door? Why was she wearing her mother's pajamas? Quote. Chen Ge wanted to summon Meng Nan and ask him on the spot. After all, Meng Nan was closest to Xiao Biyu in age, and they were both door pushers, so there should be some similarity between them. There has to be something wrong with Xiao Biyu to be able to survive in such a scary environment. If she is the door pusher, then everything makes sense. Chen Ge looked at the innocent and cute girl who was holding a sharp cleaver in her hand, and for some reason, a strange feeling rose in his heart. It felt like pity and pity. Perhaps I understand what the game is trying to say. It's trying to tell the players that Xiao Biyu is actually the most innocent. Chen Ge's sudden words gave Fan Kong and Fan Date a fright. Their thoughts were completely out of sync with Chen Ge, but they could not show it, so no matter what Chen Ge said, the two brothers would go along with it. Using the day, Chen Ge controlled Xiao Biyu to roam around the small town. He ran into many murders and saw many kinds of murderers and ghosts, but other than that, he did not find anything else. The day passed quickly in the game. Before the sky darkened, Chen Ge controlled Xiao Biyu to return to the residential area. The gray sky turned dark again, and the second night arrived. Strange laughter and approaching footsteps echoed on the street outside. Chen Ge controlled Xiao Biyu to close the door. He held the cleaver and sat next to the body of Xiao Bu's stepfather. The red specter at the motel shouldn't come to trouble me, but I have to be careful. After consuming the neighbor's ghost, she probably needs some time to digest. When she gets hungry again, she will definitely eat along the street. After all, the murderer who fed her has already been killed. Then, won't it be very dangerous in a few days? Fan Kong was worried. Chen Ge had decided to let him play the game. He did not want to betray Chen Ge's trust. It's not a big problem. The ghost at the motel will need at least a week to digest a red specter. That's more than enough time for you to explore the whole map. Chen Ge left his seat and glanced at the watch. It was 2:30 a.m. Sorry for disturbing you tonight. You should go to bed as well. Chen Ge was so focused when he was playing that he did not realize it was already so late. Do you still need to go back? Just stay at my place for one night. My bed is very big. Fan Kong tossed the wrinkled clothes on the bed to the side. There's no need. My haunted house still needs to open for business tomorrow. Chen Ge waved his hands politely. He planned to leave after he was done with everything. I remember you said something weird happened when you were playing the game, like something inside the game escaped. Fan Kong and Fan Dade shared a look. They were confused as well. Before this, when they played the game, they would turn off the background music and place the screen as far away as possible. They would operate from 1 meter away, but even so, they would still be spooked. However, when they watched Chen Ge play, their fear had shifted from the game itself to the player. This was the first time they had experienced something like that. The brothers did not know what to say. In the end, it was the older brother, Fan Dade, who changed the topic. It's probably because of psychological reasons. Now that I think about it, how could something inside the game escape? Don't let your guard down. There is indeed a problem with this game. In the future, you'd better only play it during the day. Chen Ge gave Fan Kong a few more reminders. After ensuring that everything was fine, he walked out of the bedroom. Mr. Chen, it's not easy to get a taxi here. Let me drive you back. Fan Kong chased after him. Perhaps Chen Ge's actions had stunned him. At that moment, he had many things to discuss with Chen Ge. Wait, there's no need to send me off. Through playing this game, Chen Ge's relationship with Fan Kong and Fan Date improved. The brothers were very friendly. There are no taxis in Liwan City at night. You'll have to walk to eastern Zhujiang's merchant city to find one. Fan Kong took out a key from the drawer. You can ride my electric bike. I'm planning to go to your theme park tomorrow. You can give me the bike then. Having said that, Chen Ge did not refuse. He took the keys to Fan Kong's scooter and said, "Thank you." Pushing open the door of the living room, Fan Date and Fan Kong sent Chen Ge downstairs. The entire neighborhood was dark, and only Fan Date's house was lit. Why do I feel like there are very few residents in your residential area? Chen Ge recalled the house opposite Fan Date's. There was a mirror hung on the door to ward off evil spirits. This place is too secluded, and traffic is not convenient. As time goes by, those who can move have already moved away. Fan Date led Chen Ge to the electric bike. Be careful on the road. See you tomorrow. Chen Ge checked the battery and thanked Fan Date and Fan Kong again before leaving on the bike. After a while, the lights in Fan Kong's house went off, and the whole of Liwan City was plunged into darkness. This eastern Zhejiang sure is strange. Chen Ge turned back to look. Should I go to the corresponding place in the game tonight? After giving it some thought, Chen Ge gave up on that idea. It's better to be safe. After Fan Kong has figured out all the danger zones, I'll go look for the door that has gone out of control. Driving out of Liwan City, it took Chen Ge more than an hour before he returned to New Century Park. Entering the haunted house, Chen Ge's tense nerves finally relaxed. Resisting the urge to sleep, Chen Ge found his backpack in the staff break room. He opened the steel door that led underground and entered it. Sitting in the last classroom, Chen Ge activated the recorder and flipped open the comic to summon Meng Nan. Meng Nan, who was only slightly taller than Chen Ge's knee, crawled out from Yan Danian's comic, and he looked at Chen Ge with some resentment. With a dry cough, Chen Ge felt embarrassed. Are you used to staying here? When are you going to send me back? If the broken window behind the third sick hall's door is left unattended, something scary will happen. Meng Nan looked like an adult, and his cute face looked at Chen Ge seriously. What will happen? The third sick hall's door is showing signs of going out of control. When I was unconscious, the world behind the door was slowly overlapping with the world outside the door. They are influencing each other. If we ignore them, the door won't be able to close, and the negative emotions inside the door will spill out into the world outside the door. Meng Nan wanted to explain the severity of this problem to Chen Ge. The negative emotions inside the door will spill out into the world outside the door. Chen Ge was reminded of the scenario he had seen in the game. The whole town was filled with murderers and ghosts, and everyone seemed to have lost their minds. Yes, if the door is left open for a long time, it will slowly affect everything around it. Meng Nan crawled into the chair. He hated to raise his head to talk to people. Anyone within the range of the door will have problems. Initially, it will be a small change in their mentality, like they will suddenly become introverted and lose interest in everything. Over time, their physiological habits will change as well. Take steak for example, they used to like medium rare, but now they like medium rare. In fact, they might even start to like raw beef with blood vessels. Quote. Meng Nan described the process of a normal person slowly becoming twisted. Is this process irreversible? Chen Ge knew very well that the door in Liwan City had already gone out of control. This time, his enemies were not only specters but also people with ill intentions and monsters that escaped from behind the door. The best solution that I can think of is to stop the door from going out of control. Of course, you can find a psychiatrist to treat them one by one, as long as you don't mind the trouble. Meng Nan was hinting at Chen Ge. He was in a hurry to return, but he was unable to defeat the specter on Chen Ge. This made him very conflicted, and he felt like he had boarded a pirate ship. Can a door that has gone out of control be closed? Chen Ge had his own thoughts. No matter what, he was very calm. You need to understand a logical sequence. A door is said to have gone out of control because it can't be closed. Meng Nan's answer was rather pessimistic. Even the door pusher can't close it themselves. Chen Ge leaned against the chair, unwilling to give up. His original plan was to find the door in Liwan City, enter the door to find Xiao Biyu, and then use reasonable methods to make Xiao Biyu close the door. Perhaps the door pusher has a way to close it, but that depends on the person. Different door pushers have different strengths and abilities. When Meng Nan said that, his eyes were filled with resentment. The reason he did not run away was because he was not good at fighting. Even behind the door at the third sick hall, he was not Zhang Ya's match, so he had been staying inside the comic. I've told you everything I can. You can ask me about the rest, but I don't know. Before Chen Ge could ask, Meng Nan looked at him and continued. It's really scary when the door goes out of control. I have to return. Without me behind the door, Western Zhujiang will become like Eastern Zhujiang. Western Zhujiang will become like Eastern Zhujiang. You know about Eastern Zhujiang. Chen Ge was startled. In the conversation earlier, he had not mentioned Eastern Zhujiang. Meng Nan knew that he had said the wrong thing, and he knew that he would not be able to fool Chen Ge that day. What's the difference between Eastern Zhujiang and Western Zhujiang? On the surface, Eastern Zhujiang is more peaceful, and in terms of security, Eastern Zhujiang should be better than Western Zhujiang. This can be seen by comparing the two police stations. Chen Ge knew that Eastern Zhujiang was dangerous, but this kind of danger was hidden. Until now, he had not even seen his enemy's real face. I advise you to stop going to Eastern Zhujiang. Meng Nan hesitated for a long time before saying this. You have to give me a reason, right? 2 nights ago at the freshwater plant, you and Shu Yin came to stop me. Is that shadow really that scary? Are you two red specters no match for him? Chen Ge had wanted to ask Meng Nan this question for a long time. Shaking his head, Meng Nan turned to look at Chen Ge's shadow, and there was worry in his eyes. That night, if not for the person inside your shadow, we would all be dead. Zhang Ya fought with that shadow. How come I didn't know that? Chen Ge did not feel anything at all. It's that guy's bad luck. He planned to take over your shadow and turn you into his puppet, but who knew there was a top red specter living inside your shadow? In his carelessness, he was injured by the red specter inside your shadow. Meng Nan did not dare call Zhang Ya by her name, but it was not because he was a coward. A normal ghost would be afraid when they saw Zhang Ya. Then, was Zhang Ya injured? Chen Ge was worried. He knew Zhang Ya's style very well. She would tear apart anyone who dared to do anything to her people, but that night, after Zhang Ya fought with the shadow, she did not show herself. The red specter inside your shadow was already injured. One of her arms was full of cracks. Crack. Chen Ge recalled the fight between Zhang Ya and Dr. Gao. No one knew what happened between them in the end. The operating room was separated by Zhang Ya's hair. Your biggest reliance is injured, and he is resting. That shadow is just a shadow. Whose shadow it is and how strong it is, we have no idea, so it's best if you don't go to Eastern Zhujiang in the future. Meng Nan stretched out his short arms and climbed onto the table. This time, he didn't have to look up at Chen Ge anymore. Chen Ge thought about it for a long time. It sounded like he was asking Meng Nan, but it also sounded like he was talking to himself. Could the shadow's original form be a greater red specter? No one knows what is above a red specter, or rather, those who have seen it are all dead, and not even their souls remain. Meng Nan himself had no idea, but he could not rule out the possibility that there was a specter above a red specter in Eastern Zhujiang. Those who have seen it are all dead. Chen Ge was reminded of Dr. Gao, who committed suicide and became a ghost. The madman once controlled the 3 doors alone, and after his death, he seemed to have reached the limit of a red specter. Chen Ge, I'm doing this for your own good. Eastern Zhujiang is different from Western Zhujiang. Didn't you realize that even the madmen from the 3rd sick hall are unwilling to go to Eastern Zhujiang? Meng Nan tried his best to convince Chen Ge. He was really afraid that Chen Ge would act on impulse and bring him to Eastern Zhujiang again. The danger in Western Zhujiang is visible, like the madmen from the 3rd sick hall. They do exist, but the scariest thing about Eastern Zhujiang is that we don't even know what the danger is. You can look at the local newspapers in Zhujiang. Eastern Zhujiang has the least serious crimes, but every year, more than 90% of the missing people in Zhujiang go missing in Eastern Zhujiang. This data is enough to prove the danger in Eastern Zhujiang. Quote. I know Eastern Zhujiang is dangerous, but I have to go. My parents appeared in Eastern Zhujiang before they disappeared. His parents' disappearance was a knot in Chen Ge's heart. Since it was related to Chen Ge's parents, Meng Nan did not dare say anything. I've only heard about Eastern Zhujiang from the madman from the 3rd sick hall. If you really want to know more about Eastern Zhejiang, you can go ask them. I also want to ask them, but the problem is that they haven't gotten used to their identity as ghosts. Chen Ge had the third sick hall's patient list, but unfortunately, the specters could not communicate with Chen Ge. After chatting with Meng Nan for a while, Chen Ge gave in to Meng Nan's pleading and finally decided to send Meng Nan back. Actually, he was also worried about the third sick hall's door going out of control. Only when Western Zhejiang is peaceful will the theme park and haunted house be able to develop peacefully. Chen Ge pulled Meng Nan back into the comic and walked out from the last classroom. Eastern Zhejiang is so chaotic, and the futuristic theme park is going to open there. They sure know how to choose the location. After leaving the underground scenario, Chen Ge entered the staff break room and fell asleep immediately. At 8 a.m., Chen Ge was woken up by the alarm. After washing up, he started to clean the haunted house. A new day had begun. The theme park opened at 9 a.m., and the visitors swarmed in. Chen Ge could feel the popularity of his haunted house increasing day by day. My haunted house can only accommodate too few visitors at the same time. If only there were more scenarios. Standing at the entrance, Chen Ge suddenly noticed a few familiar figures among the visitors. Heshan. Why is this kid here? Quote. Heshan also saw Chen Ge, and he waved. Boss. Long time no see. Quote. You're still as loud as ever. Chen Ge temporarily had Shushu help him sell the tickets while he walked into the crowd. Boss, our school has done enough preparation this time. We've picked out the bravest students from each year. Today, our goal is only one word: clear the scenario. Heshan pointed behind him. There was a large group of people standing behind him. Are all these people from your school? Are you guys skipping class today? Chen Ge had no idea what was wrong with Western Zhejiang Medical University to gather so many people at once. Clearing the scenario is secondary. You're still students, so don't give up on your studies. Chen Ge's real thought was that if the doctors at the underground morgue found out about this, the consequences would be severe. Don't worry, we're not skipping class. Yang Cheng stood beside Heshan with a dark face. Even our school's management knows about your haunted house. Even your school's management knows about it. Chen Ge felt a pang of guilt. Yes, it's weird. Our headmaster had the same dream for 4 consecutive days. His teacher when he was young stood inside your haunted house and scolded him for no reason. Heshan lowered his voice. Our headmaster was scolded for 4 consecutive days. Whenever he closes his eyes, it feels like the old man is floating before his eyes. He can't take it anymore. Your headmaster had the same dream for 4 consecutive days. Chen Ge did not know whether to laugh or cry. Was his teacher called Wei Jukan when he was young? Yes. It was this old man. How did you know? He-san was shocked. Our headmaster had a discussion with a few of the counselors, and some of them said that the old man was talking to him in his dream. He said that we medical students are not even afraid of dead bodies, but to faint inside your haunted house is too embarrassing. That's why your headmaster invited you to visit my haunted house. More or less. The headmaster's intention was that a qualified forensic doctor has to remain calm at all times, to be able to remain calm even if Mount Tai collapses before them. He encouraged us to come to your haunted house to train our courage. As a forensic doctor, if we can't even conquer a small haunted house, how are we going to face those evil criminals in the future? Heshan mimicked the headmaster's tone. Your headmaster probably misunderstood the old man. Since they were there, Chen Ge would not chase them away. He used his last bit of strength to give the students from Western Zhejiang Medical University a piece of advice. You can visit the other scenarios, but not the underground morgue. This was not the first time the students from Western Zhejiang Medical University had interacted with Chen Ge. They knew that any visitor who disobeyed Chen Ge would end badly. Don't worry, we're here to challenge Coffin Village, so we've done a lot of preparation before we came. After He-san said that, he retreated back into the crowd, and a few seniors walked out. You'll be fine if you don't go to the underground morgue, but you still have to be careful. If you see someone in a doctor's uniform, ask the camera for help, and I'll go in to fetch you. Chen Ge gave them a few more reminders before personally leading them into the underground scenario. The students from Western Zhejiang Medical University were all familiar faces, and the headmaster was very cooperative, so Chen Ge did not purposely make things difficult for them. He used normal background music and did not let Lao Zhou's group accompany them. I wish you all a good time. About 40 minutes later, a cheer came from the resting hall next to the haunted house, and the whole resting hall seemed to be boiling with excitement. On the screen that showed the score, the ranking of the few visitors from Western Zhejiang Medical University shot up, and they became the first batch of visitors to clear Coffin Village. When Yang Cheng ran out from Coffin Village with the wedding dress, he felt like he was about to cry. God knew what he had experienced in the past 40 minutes. All 9 of his seniors had died, and he had to deliver the wedding dress with the ghost's lingering spirit out of Coffin Village. We did it. Coffin Village was a 3-star scenario, and clearing this scenario was completely different from clearing Muyang High School. This meant that the visitors finally had the ability to clear a 3-star scenario. Even though it was only once, it was a start. As the guides and the scenarios leaked out, more and more people would clear the scenario. Seeing how happy the visitors were, Chen Ge had a smile on his face. He enjoyed this feeling. Bringing a better experience to the visitors had always been his goal. Coffin Village is only 7% complete, and the ghost is still alive. This scenario is incomplete, so it's only slightly scarier than Muyang High School. At Chen Ge's haunted house, the 2 scariest scenarios were the 3rd sick hall and the underground morgue. These 2 scenarios had different styles. I have the patient list from the 3rd sick hall. If I control the mental patients to scare the visitors, the scariest scenario will be much scarier. Chen Ge had never underestimated the visitors. It had only been 1 month since he obtained the black phone, and the visitors could already clear 3-star scenarios. That was a testament to how powerful the visitors were. To maintain the mystery of the haunted house and to keep the visitors interested in the haunted house, we need something new. Chen Ge took out the black phone to look at the 4-star mission, School of the Afterlife. I should wait a little longer. Zhangya is injured, Shuyan hasn't found his heart, and Bai Cholan hasn't digested Shangqing's soul. Now is not the time to challenge a 4-star scenario. It was not time yet, so Chen Ge decided to gather his strength. I only need to unlock the School of the Afterlife before the futuristic theme park opens for business. With this 4-star scenario as my trump card, I won't have to worry no matter what the futuristic theme park does. Now, I need to deal with the problem in Eastern Zhejiang. At least I need to get that last bus before I can worry about other things. Quote. Seeing that someone had cleared Coffin Village, many visitors were excited. Those who did not dare visit the 3-star scenario before were eager to give it a try. The day passed quickly. When the haunted house closed at 6:30 p.m., there were still many visitors outside. In the end, with the persuasion from the workers, they reluctantly left. The peak season is coming soon. We can consider opening up a night show and visiting the haunted house at night. I'm afraid only a handful of people will dare to challenge that. Chen Ge and the 2 employees cleaned up the haunted house and then had them leave. Returning to the staff break room alone, Chen Ge ordered a takeaway and lay comfortably in bed. I'll call Captain Yan later to ask about the Mingyang residence dismemberment case and the progress of Fan Kong's game. I'll also need to pay attention to Huang Ling's husband, Jia Ming. After dinner, Chen Ge called Li Zheng. Inspector Li, have you found the other parts of the female body from Mingyang residence? Quote. Not yet. Based on our speculation, the girl's body should be buried among the 4 buildings at Mingyang residence, but the police dogs haven't found it for a whole day. Li Zheng's voice was hoarse like he was not feeling well. But we have another important discovery. The coroner compared it to our internal database, and the identity of the dismembered girl has been confirmed. Her name is Bu Yi. She underwent surgery at the People's Hospital 5 years ago due to a car accident. Bu Yi. Her surname is Bu. This was the first time that Chen Ge had met someone with the surname Bu. Yes, the child disappeared in eastern Zhejiang 3 years ago. Who would have thought she would be murdered so cruelly? From Li Zheng's voice, one could hear the suppressed anger in his heart. Mingyang residence was built 8 years ago. The family of the investor, Zhang Long, is painted on the roof of room 104. Bu Yi's left arm is buried inside room 104. Chen Ge tried to connect all the clues. Inspector Li, do you know when Zhang Long got into the car accident? Mingyang residence has 3 investors. The first investor got into an accident 6 years ago, the second developer, Zhang Long, got into an accident 3 years ago, and the third developer committed suicide by jumping off a building at Mingyang residence 2 years ago. Li Zheng memorized all the information in his heart. The year Zhang Long got into the car accident, Bu Yi disappeared. Chen Ge held the phone, and a question kept popping up in his mind. Could Bu Yi be Xiao Bu? Chen Ge could still remember a scene in the game. He had controlled Xiao Bu to go to his classmate's house to open the hidden door. When he reached the second floor of his classmate's house, he saw a certificate on the wall. The person who was praised on the certificate was called Zhang Xiaohu. This Zhang Xiaohu happened to be Zhang Long's son, which meant that Xiao Bu and Zhang Xiaohu were classmates. Speaking of which, there is another layer of relationship between Zhang Long and Bu Yi. Li Zheng's investigation was very clear. Bu Yi's father passed away when she was very young. To support the family, Bu Yi's mother became Zhang Long's mistress. Hearing that, for some reason, the scene of Xiao Bu wearing his mother's pajamas and going to his classmate's house to find the hidden room flashed across Chen Ge's mind. Then, where is Bu Yi's mother now? Before Bu Yi disappeared, her mother disappeared. If not for Bu Yi's school calling the police because of Bu Yi's disappearance, we wouldn't have known about her mother's disappearance. Li Zheng seemed to be flipping through the old case files, and the content was shocking. Bu Yi's mother disappeared. Bu Yi went to look for her mother, and then Bu Yi also disappeared. This process was similar to the game that Chen Ge had played. His hands slowly tightened, and the painting on the ceiling of room 104 appeared in his mind. Zhang Long's family of 4 biting the limbs of the girl in the middle. In the game, Xiao Bu found the dungeon key inside his mother's pajamas, but the entrance to the dungeon was not at her home but at her classmate, Zhang Xiaohu's home. The thing that worried Chen Ge the most was that Xiao Bu appeared to have pushed open the door at Zhang Xiaohu's home. Only when one had lost all hope would one push open the door. What did Xiao Bu see inside the dungeon? What did he encounter? Inspector Li, do you have any information on Zhang Long's family? Only Zhang Long's family knew what had happened inside the dungeon, so Chen Ge planned to ask them. Why are you asking that? From Li Zheng's perspective, Zhang Long's family had nothing to do with the case. I believe Zhang Long and his family are the culprits behind Bu Yi's death. Do you still remember the painting on the ceiling of room 104? The names of Zhang Long's family were written on it. Chen Ge planned to give Li Zheng some hints. If he could get the police's help, things would be much easier for him. The culprit wouldn't be dumb enough to carve his own name at the crime scene. Li Zheng had been a detective for more than 10 years, and he had not seen something like this before. To leave his own name at the crime scene, is he purposely telling everyone that he's the murderer? The painting could have been painted by someone else, or it could have been some kind of special ritual. Chen Ge knew that Li Zheng was a police officer, so he could not reveal a citizen's privacy. Therefore, he could only insist that Zhang Long's family was related to the dismemberment case. On the other end of the phone, Li Zheng was silent for about 10 seconds before he said, "Actually, we've already investigated Zhang Long's family. Their situation is quite complicated." A bad feeling rose in Chen Ge's heart. Don't tell me their whole family has disappeared. Before Zhang Long's accident, Zhang Long's wife took the 2 children to visit a psychiatrist, but 1 week later, Zhang Long got into a car accident. Zhang Long's wife, Zhang Chuyu, and his eldest daughter, Zhang Bai, disappeared one after the other. Of the family of 4, only Zhang Xiaohu was still alive. Li Zheng hesitated like he was hesitating whether he should tell Chen Ge what happened next or not. Zhang Xiaohu is still alive. Where is he staying now? I have a few questions that I want to clarify in person. Chen Ge felt that this child was very important. The child has gone mad. He stabbed the psychiatrist who treated him. Sometimes, he behaves like a mindless beast. It's impossible to communicate with him. If you have to ask, then go to Zhujiang's mental asylum. We just met him there this morning. The police had already thought of what Chen Ge could think of, but they didn't get any useful clues from Zhang Xiaohu. Upon hearing Li Zheng's words, Chen Ge's first reaction was to wonder if the child was pretending to be crazy. He would never underestimate any opponent, not even a child. Inspector Li, can you take me to see the boy? Chen Ge persuaded Li Zheng for a long time before he finally agreed. After hanging up, he called again. I've called the mental hospital. You'd better get there early. They seem to prohibit people from entering or leaving at 9 a.m. Thank you, Inspector Li. Chen Ge, you can go, but there's something I need to tell you in advance. Li Zheng's tone was not quite right. Be careful. When you talk to the child, remember to keep your distance. He might hurt you when he acts up. After that, Li Zheng hung up. There was a murder case in eastern Zhujiang, so he had been very busy. Why would Li Zheng tell me to be careful of the child? Chen Ge sat up in bed, grabbed his backpack, checked the contents, and rushed out of the haunted house. Zhujiang's mental asylum was a public hospital, so it was different from the third sick hall. It was very formal and followed the rules strictly. If he was late, he might not even be able to get through the door. At 7:20 a.m., Chen Ge hailed a taxi to Zhujiang's mental asylum. He told the guard the name of Li Zheng from the Shanghai Police Department, and a doctor in a white coat ran out. You're the Chen Ge that Inspector Li mentioned, right? The doctor was tall and thin. He wore a pair of black-rimmed glasses, and he was quiet like he did not like to talk. My full name is Pei Zhaoyang, but you can call me Dr. Pei. The patient has been brought to the interrogation room. Due to safety concerns, your conversation has to end before 9 p.m. Okay. With Dr. Pei leading the way, Chen Ge entered Zhujiang's mental asylum. The feeling that this place gave him was completely different from the third sick hall. This is the room. I'll accompany you with the workers. Don't worry about safety. Thank you. Chen Ge felt like the title of a police officer was more useful. If he had come on his own, they probably would not have let him in. A human life is at stake, so it's only right to cooperate with your investigation. Dr. Pei entered the room and pointed at the boy in bed. This is Zhang Xiaohu. Someone will send you his information in a bit. The room was simple. There was only one bed and 3 wooden chairs. The boy was sitting on the bed, and his limbs were tied with ropes. His eyes were dull, and even if someone approached him, he would not look at them. Can you untie him? Chen Ge sat on the chair next to the bed. He realized that the ropes had already cut into the boy's flesh. For your safety, it's better to tie him up. He just acted up this afternoon, and he bit anyone he saw. It took us a lot of effort to control him. Dr. Pei sat down next to Chen Ge and added, don't be fooled by this child's innocent appearance. When he goes crazy, it'll take 2 nurses to stop him. When Dr. Pei spoke, there was a knock on the door, and a female nurse walked in with a document. Dr. Pei, the patient's information that you asked for. Dr. Pei accepted the document and handed it to Chen Ge. From the time Zhang Xiaohu came for treatment 3 years ago until now, all the information is here. Take a look yourself, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. Flipping through the document, Chen Ge scanned through it. He realized that the doctor who had given Zhang Xiaohu counseling 3 years ago was Pei Zhaoyang, and he was also the psychiatrist who had been stabbed by Zhang Xiaohu. It was you who gave Zhang Xiaohu counseling 3 years ago. Chen Ge finally found the person, and he desperately wanted to know what had happened 3 years ago. Do you mind telling me the details? The room suddenly became quiet. Dr. Pei did not answer immediately. The treatment 3 years ago seemed to be a memory that he did not want to be reminded of. From what I can see, Zhang Xiaohu's initial diagnosis was mania, and then it was changed to schizophrenia. In the end, it was changed to say that the patient's personality is relatively stable, and his ability to discern is relatively complete. Thus, mental illness can be ruled out. How come the same person has 3 different diagnoses? Chen Ge put down the document and turned to Dr. Pei. What happened 3 years ago? Why would Zhang Xiaohu's family send a child to a mental hospital? Quote.